released a report on the 2024 analysis of how Nigeria has fared in areas of security as well as justice delivery systems. It feels as if Nigeria needs a lot that needs to be done and fixed moving forward. And that's the essence of this discussion this morning. Joining us, both of them virtually, is the Director General, Good Governance Advocacy International. He's Leonard Anyogo. We thank you indeed, Leonard, for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You can see his face already, so he's here. Dennis Amakri is a security expert and a former Assistant Director of DSS. We thank you indeed for joining us on the program, sir.
Thank you and good morning.
Gentlemen, we are bringing to the table what the United States is saying about Nigeria. I'm going to set aside the issues around immigration or migration that we seem to have on the table that's raging. But dispassionately, and maybe sometimes passionately, we like to talk about this 2024 report as it centers around security as well as our judicial system in the country. I'll begin with you, Dennis Amakri. You are a Nigerian, but you're right now in the United States. What did you make your initial view of the report?
Thank you very much. You see, we have different countries represented in our country, in Nigeria. And that's by embassies and consulates and high commissions, etc. And these people actually are there to gather information about our country. We also have the National Intelligence Agency that is operating overseas in different countries. And they also gather information and then, of course, send back to Nigeria. Now, the importance of this kind of information that is being sent to their country or to our country is one that we have to take seriously. It is something coming from another person. It's another, like my people will say in River State, it is the watcher or the observer who sees the back of the dancer, you know. So if there is any kind of report about our country, I think what we should do is to, you know, dispassionately sit down, observe this particular information, dissect it properly by the security agencies, and then see what we can do about it. But recently, I don't know where, of course, some people think that it is that country disparaging our own country. I don't think that's how it works.
I'd like for you, Leonard, to also share your views with regard to your initial assessment of what the report really puts on the table.
Well, for me, that is an independent report, and we should take it very seriously because we are part of the global community. What is the report saying in particular? It talks about our judicial system, the length of time, and the procedure. And so if you look inward, you now look at the fact that is our judicial system really what we want it to be? Is the judicial administration really want? When you arrest someone, you don't charge the person to court, or when you charge the person to court, the length of time the person stays in court is even longer than the conviction time. So these are issues that we shouldn't even disparage, we shouldn't even be angry about. But how we respond to it, it's what matters. And let me quickly say this, that we know the problems of this country. What is the solution? Let us attempt solution. Now, a man is arrested, or a person is a Nigerian, or a person is arrested generally, and the Constitution has clearly provided that you must have to take him to court within 48 hours. From that moment that he's arrested, you ought to have done your investigation, or assuming it's not even a prior crime. Once he's arrested, investigation commences immediately, and then you charge him to court, and then the judicial system has to be activated. But where the practical situation we have is that you have Nigerians or persons that have been arrested and they languish in detention, pre-trial detention, for longer period than the period when they ought to have been convicted, if they will be convicted. And I will quickly say that we can correct that based on the report that we have and based on the fact that that is a fact. Now, how do we correct it? Look, in the election matters, we have time frame. Now, it's the same thing that we can have. We can have a time frame for criminal trials in Nigeria. We can do it. What do I mean by time frame? Like, okay, if you are standing criminal trial within 2 years, we can conclude these trials. If we can do it during the election matters or in the tribunal, why can't we do it in the criminal trials? So that has to do with a piece of legislation, and that is very key this morning, and that's where I want to start from.
Leonard, I want us to give this an holistic view in tackling this topic. You are looking at the judiciary, the justice system, and now reforms. There's been this cry for reforms in this system, in the sector where you belong. I need you to put 2-3 reforms that you think, if this is introduced, that we will be able to, fast track some of these issues that you've already mentioned. Quickly, Leonard, in 1 minute, please.
Okay, we need a legislation, and I'm calling on national TV this morning that we need a legislation that will even give us a time frame. I have advocated this severally in different fora, that it is time we got legislation going on the time frame of prosecuting offenders in Nigeria. If you look at section 36.5, it talks about presumption of innocence. Presumption of innocence, yes? Why do we have to keep someone in prison, pre-trial prisons, until Americans will come and give us a report? Look, a man is suspected of stealing a goat, and okay, the maximum he can get is 7 years as the case, and you are keeping him for 15 years. It does not make anything. So we need legislative reforms in the judiciary, because the judiciary will only act based on the laws of the land. So we can start by saying, look, we need a time frame for prosecution of criminal trials from the moment someone is arrested. Otherwise, if we're not ready for prosecution, there's no need to arrest someone and keep the person in detention for over a period of time. So we have this case of pretrial detention that is quite unfortunate, and that's why that is my take on this very particular report, because anybody can become a victim.
All right, let's come to now Mr. Amakri. I'm looking at the issues raised by the American government. A lot of times people feel like what concerns America with what happens in Nigeria. We hardly ever put our own issues, on theirs. Why this? That's number one. Then number two, I like to bring out the ones that really concern you in terms of security. The U.S. government is still referring to the hashtag NSAS event. It's not raising its voice in ensuring that really happens. It refers to the fact that some people that were arrested are still being detained in the country, and feels that needs to be addressed. Also, lengthy pre-trial detention, which still centers around the judicial system. As a law enforcement agent at that time, and I know you forever be one, what are those things you're looking at in terms of which are missing within our judiciary system? I know that you would like to share your thoughts, especially as you want to compare them to what obtains in the United States.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. And you see, one thing is the process. And we've talked about the restructuring of the security infrastructure. And if we are going to restructure it, I think there are some, especially with the police, there must be some kind of process or systemic process where you arrest somebody, you keep them in a holding cell, what they call jail here, and that after 24 hours or 48 hours, that person must appear before a judge. Must appear. And then if the person is in front of a judge, the judge will now decide whether they want to grant bail on that person or return the person to custody, depending on the kind of offense that is alleged against the person. So if the person is available, you allow the person to go and then come back on the judgment day. And if the person is not available or is a flight risk, then you can keep the person until the judgment day. So I think we have to do this. Some people. The other day I was watching the news. There was somebody who was about 18 years, awaiting trial, and he has been in police cell for about 18 years, and then he was asked to finally go. Well, people don't even know their rights, because under situations like this, they could actually sue. They can sue, where they will sue the authority that will give them a lot of money. So to avoid things like this, we have to judiciously, make sure that somebody is actually proven innocent until found guilty. I think that is basically the rule that we should.
I needed to beckon on you on that. All right, let me go straight to, your colleague there and take a look at the things going on. Leonard, it's more about human rights. It's more about human rights for United States. And it won't be the first time that it will come out as a nation to fault our human rights in Nigeria, the way and manner that we carry along. Do you think that this is, overstretched, or is it a true reflection of how the nation carries out its functions in that sector?
Well, I think that we do not even need anybody to tell us what is happening in the country. One thing is to identify the problem of the country. Another thing is to attempt solutions. The word I'll be using this morning is attempt solutions. How do we react to the challenges we have? That is the key. Not disputing whether it is true or not. Look, I'm an active player in the judicial system, and or in other field of endeavors too. I know that our judicial system is quite slow, not because the judges don't want to work. If you talk about criminal prosecution, right from when someone is arrested, it takes so long a time for the person to be brought to court, and then when the person is in court, you have very few judges that can even attempt to it. So to me, what is the way forward? That is my cry this morning. And the way forward, like I said, we need to have some legislative intervention. Have you asked yourself, how come during election matters, election tribunal, that we can dispense off of cases within a specific time? Why can't we put the same energy in other prosecution, in either civil or criminal prosecution in the country? So it has to be that all of us, through the National Orientation Agency, let me call them out this morning, that would need to have that kind of national reorientation. That look, let everybody be up and doing, right from the security agencies that make this arrest to the judicial officers. All of us have to work together. And then again, why can't we cover? Why can't we even have live coverage of our trials in court? I've said this severally. When you said, okay, the judges will be at risk, if you want to protect the judges and cover their faces, well, let us have some media presence even in live trials, so that everybody will know that unnecessary adjournment and all those applications can be brought to fore. Because we see this in other jurisdictions where people trials are even televised live. We don't have that in the country. So these are practical solutions to curbing this problem, because we keep talking about problems. What are the practical solutions we can take? When the judge knows that he's going to have live media coverage of the trial, he will sit up. There won't be any unnecessary adjournment. The counsel, the lawyers will sit up. The prosecution, everybody will sit up.
Okay.
So we have to
Leonard,
look at drastic measures.
Leonard, as we look to wrap up now, I need to put this in, because you've mentioned the protection of the trial judge. Now, one of the things that one would believe goes against, causes prolonged trial in our court system, judicial system, is witness protection. What have you guys done? What reforms are you and your people, your colleagues, proposing to go the fight against witness protection in our judicial system?
Each circumstance will determine what. Okay, for you to even talk about witness protection is an indictment of the country that there's serious insecurity challenges. Otherwise, why would I come if what I'm saying is the truth? Why would I want to cover my face? Why would I want to be protected? The term protection itself shows that there's serious insecurity, and every government in the world, the first item on the agenda is protection of lives and property. So the word protection itself shows that there's insecurity. So once that insecurity is there, everybody wants to be protected so that nobody will come after another. Nobody will come after such a weakness. That's why you have witness protection. So I think the key was that once the judges, even the witnesses, are assured of protection, people will be very free, and then they will come out to testify.
All right, Leonard. We thank you. We have to go, actually. We have just 1 minute left on the show.